Today I'm going to show you how you can use whatever you've already got in your makeup bag and just amplify it a little bit to make your everyday makeup look more flawless. As always, everything I've used is listed in the description of the video, so the caption will come up at the bottom. If you tap that, it will expand and a full list of products will come up, but by all means I want you to feel free to use whatever you've already got at home. So to begin the video, I had this makeup on first thing in the morning. I've been doing loads of bits and pieces around the house. It's a warm day, I haven't topped up at all. And I actually thought this is quite a nice starting point for if you were doing a bit of a day tonight, like you've been pottering about during the day and you just want to do a zhuzh to get ready for dinner or something. And then I was thinking, like I kind of fancied doing a smoky eye today, but something that I will come on to probably in a separate video is to do a really great smoky eye and not hold yourself back. You kind of have to do your eyes first and then do your base so that if everything drops down you can wipe it clean and move forward, and I didn't want to do that, so I'm going to use all creams today. The first thing I noticed looking at myself is that the T-zone is a bit oilier and that I could just essentially elevate the T-zone a little bit to make everything look a bit more flawless. There's just a plane going past there, but that'll pass. So the first thing I'm going to use is the RCMA Colour Process Foundation in K03, and this is going to be on a little peaches brush, and I'm just going to start to make the actual T-zone slightly more full coverage. This foundation, Kirby Johnson, the one I'm always telling you about, a journalist in America had shared that she said, like, when she interviews pro makeup artists, this is what everyone has in their kit. And I've been using it for a good while now and it is just brilliant. Do you know what I tend to use it for mostly? Is this the kind of thing I'm doing right now? I have been teaming this, like it's the kind of thing I'll put in my bag for a top up through the day, or if I've got more of a sheer all over foundation on and I just want a bit more coverage over the redness, I'll use it for things like that. I really do think that just for kind of undetectable, a little bit of extra something, it's great. I ordered this from, it was either Guru Makeup Emporium or Tilt Makeup, two professional makeup stores here in the UK. And I remember when I first mentioned this, someone asked me how I chose my shade, like with great difficulty. There are so many shades because it's a pro brand. I took a chance, to be honest, and I ordered two because I thought I'll always use them in my kit and I just hope they'll be okay for me. But luckily I kind of struck gold there. So that's, as I say, K03. There's another one as well that I'll find the shade of that seems to work well for me. But if you want like a starting point, that's what I'm wearing. Now, one thing I'll just mention is that I haven't put too much on the end of my nose. The end of your nose, if you keep that nice and fresh, or relatively fresh, because I've already got some coverage on it, that can make the rest of the face look a lot fresher. Equally, if you wanted to look completely flawless, make sure you pay particular attention to the nose and that will give the illusion of looking more flawless. Another thing I would point out about this is probably one of the most asked questions I get is how can I cover redness on the nose? That's the perfect kind of thing because it is really densely pigmented, but it will sit really well because it's a cream and it lasts really well. Next, I'm going to use some of the Glossier Solar Paint in the shade Flare. This is a cream bronzer. It comes out on this stick, so I'm going to put it on the back of my hand and use a brush. Full disclosure, I've done a complete 180 on Glossier. Nothing personal to them, but it just, even though it's like this achingly cool brand, it was never a brand that I really found myself gravitating towards that much. There were a few things that I tried that I think are amazing, like coconutbalm.com is essentially like a multi-purpose balm, lovely for your lips, smells like custard creams. I had this years ago and I've just bought another one. But basically I was with my cousin this week. While I tell you this, by the way, I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury double-ended brush and just press some of this into my complexion. I was with my cousin this week and she wanted to go to the pop-up in Covent Garden, which I've never been to. And you know something? It was such a lovely experience in there. The girls were so lovely in there. It was laid out almost like a big bedroom that you can try everything on, big mirrors to see everything. They were really attentive and friendly, but not like jumping down your throat. And basically, while we were in there, I tried absolutely everything on and ended up buying loads of bits and pieces. So I'll definitely use them in some videos. But essentially, because I've had this conversation before with like other makeup artist friends, I think the reason that I personally have never gravitated towards it that much is because I didn't really feel like anything from Glossier would be enough coverage for me. Like, I think it's so ethereal and pretty and fresh, and that's all very well when you don't have rosacea like glaring through whatever you use. But actually what I did find going to the pop-up is that they've got loads of lovely creamy things, whether it's like lips, cheeks, these bronzers that I hadn't tried, that I can layer with my full coverage things and still feel like I'm getting a bit of the freshness. So I'm really happy with all the bits I had. So this, basically, I've never used it with a brush because that's just the fresh one I bought, but I just like rubbed it in with my hands, and I mean, I had the whole shop on by the time I left. But here we go, just tapping this in to lift everything up a bit. Now, I'm quite pink this week, and I actually bought as well that I wanted to use the Cloud Paint in Puff. I have to admit, after I've just said, oh, you know, I don't use an awful lot from Glossier, I do have a few of those and I think they're wicked. I've got a couple of the peachier ones, so I wanted to try this. But because I'm quite pink underneath, I'm gonna see how I go with that. And the first thing I'm gonna do before I do another thing is just take some Bye Bye Pores powder from IT Cosmetics, translucent setting powder, and just diffuse some of the shine through the T-zone. And I do want to leave a lot of this quite fresh, but equally I don't want it to be distracting. And I think if I just sort the T-zone a little bit, it really helps to keep you on the right side of glowy. And actually, just 1 second. That was absolutely nothing the other day. Barely even noticeable, nothing going on. I'd had a couple of glasses of wine, started picking at it, and now like it can have its own postcode. So, and I'm not usually like that, but actually sometimes I think you do need to sabotage yourself as a reminder of why you shouldn't be picking them in the first place. Okay, now that I've kind of pulled that together, I'm going to move on to my eyes, and I'm actually going to use, because I've got this kind of green top on today, I love the look of this smoky Bobbi brown colour. It's called Forest. So it's a classic kind of grungy smoky colour with a little kind of hint of khaki green. Now, before I begin with this, the nice thing about it being a dark colour is that I'm not going to get dropped down, so I can really go nice and smoky. But before I do that, I'm going to line the waterline with a brown, by the way, because I think that'll be a bit more of a match with this green. This is Memphis from Peaches and Cream. And what I do, I never keep this in because it looks ridiculous, but like this is actually what I should be showing you. I like to really lift that lid and get the liner right in by those lashes, because that is something that when you get rid of those gaps, it looks really flawless. But like that clip, why would you go putting that in a reel? But you do need to see it, so that's what I'm going to do. Already, even that, like, look at the difference in how polished everything looks. And actually, I think when it comes to really flawless makeup, a lot of it isn't that you've spent more money, got different products, you know, overhauled everything. It's just spending that extra 5 minutes really paying attention to those details that ends up making a huge difference. Now, when it comes to eyeshadow, something that I'm really conscious to do every time is when I frown, I lose this whole kind of thing that's visible here when I'm putting this face. So I'm always conscious to make sure that I have some colour going along here. If I go straight in with that dark green forest colour, it could feel a bit too much. So I'm going to start putting some bronze through here. So actually, to begin, I'm going to go back in with this Glossier bronzer. And then I'm just going to start to take a little wash of this through that socket area on a really fluffy brush. The lovely thing about working with creams is that they're so easy to blend. And I'm going above that natural crease so that even when I'm resting, you're still going to be able to see this bronze colour. Now then, next port of call is Forest, and I'm going to do this one part of the eye at a time. Lid first, then under here, lid under here, because if I put everything on and then try to blend everything, it's already dried on me, and we want to blend it the minute it goes on to give a really natural finish. Now, clean blending brush. I'm just going to soften the edges of this. By all means, you could actually use your finger. I'm going to use the brush while I've got it next to me. But the nice thing again about creams is that they're so user-friendly. Every now and again, I'm going to buff off the excess so that I've got a completely clean blend for softening all of this out. And just keep in mind that if you kind of flick outwards and upwards, you're also automatically creating this kind of feline finish. I've gone quite high up with that one, so we'll work around it. I'm sure it'll be fine. But I could actually do with just making that a bit even on this side. And what I am going to do is once I'm happy with the shape, we'll retrace this ever so slightly to intensify kind of the finish. Okay, and now for underneath. And actually now that we've done that, it has kind of, they feel quite even now, don't they? Now I'm going to go back over, say because we've blended that lid so much, I just want to make sure that the pigment is nice and strong. So I've relayered it over the lid. I'm buffing off the excess again, and let's just soften this line so that we get this kind of very rich finish all over the lid, blending into softer and then fading out to that bronzer. And look at the difference of that as well. And now while that dries, I honestly think that like when it comes to really smoky eyes, as much mascara as possible is really good. I know that like that's probably not the most demure or the rest of it, but if you want like a really grungy smoky eye, just get the mascara on. I'm using the Superhero mascara from It Cosmetics, and I just think, let's see, but lots of extra mascara will really just make this look that extra bit grungy. And again, look at the difference of that. I've already got mascara on. You could have even forgotten that step because you'd be thinking, well, my mascara's done. But for that really kind of noticeably flawless look, just another little step or going that tiny extra mile, or even just putting on the tiniest bit more than you would for your everyday makeup makes the difference, and it will really show up in your photos if you're going somewhere too. Now, just quickly, I'm also going to retrace just kind of the bottom part of my brow so that the bottom line is a bit sharper. That will instantly kind of give the illusion that everything is a bit more groomed. And then, do you know something? Obviously, I've got a whole face on. If you did one thing to make yourself look really polished, a really sharp lip, even with barely anything else on, really does the trick. So when I tidy this lip up now, I think it'll make a huge difference. I'm going to start with the Peaches and Cream liner in Borderline. These liners are some of the best on the market and they're high street prices. You have to order them online, but they're brilliant. And I'm going to go a bit darker with the liner than I am with the colour of the lip. Now, I love that colour, but I actually feel like it's made everything quite grungy, which is lovely in fairness, but I do want to lift it a little bit. So I'm going to use Victoria Beckham's lip gloss in Bungalow. This kind of soft pink, you'd be amazed at how much it will go with the brown, and it will just kind of give this very plump, multi-dimensional finish to the lips, because the darker outline and then the softer inline will make them look fuller. So there we go. I hope that was helpful. I think key takeaways from me really would be any extra detail that you can make to make it that little bit more flawless. Go a little bit further with your liner, line the lips a bit more, sharpen the brows a touch, add a bit more coverage to the T-zone. These small steps can make a huge difference to the overall look, because like even me looking at myself in the mirror, this isn't too dissimilar to what I would wear if I was going for dinner or something, but it does look more polished. So give it a try next time you're going somewhere, and I hope it helps. But thank you so much for watching. If there's anything in particular you'd like to see a video on, please feel free to let me know. I love hearing the suggestions, and I'll chat to you soon. Take care.